Hey, Lauren.
Hi, Ryan.
This is episode 4 of our podcast, which is called Too Much in Common. Let the people know. We are obviously live from the garage gym once again.
Yeah.
We're on the camera for the people who like to view us on YouTube. And also, if you just want to listen to our voices, either way, we're here.
I feel like you have a soothing voice.
Thank you. I love your voice as well. When you tell me the weather, it's better than my weather app.
Oh, God.
But we have some business to handle. Well, first, this episode is going to be about things we wish we knew in our fitness journey.
Yes.
Things we learned along the way.
Yep.
Mistakes.
Kind of like, silly mistakes.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, these mistakes, just because there's a lot of content about these, I know these mistakes are not uncommon. So you'll definitely get a lot out of this, hearing about these things. No matter where you are in your fitness journey, one of our mistakes, you are probably going to be like, I've done that too. Or you're like, dang, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So guaranteed value is what I'm going to put my stamp.
Well, I also
bat.
feel like you can't hear enough of like the good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fine to reiterate some stuff, even if you heard it
100%.
before. Like, they're good reminders. Like, okay, if you're doing this, stop.
And I think it's also kind of like how some people learn from certain teachers. I think it's the same way of like, I'll hear something maybe 3 times, but if it's not like said the right way, or maybe from somebody I respect or trust, then I don't take it in as well. Whereas if you hear like the way that it works for you, or like maybe it's just worded differently, then you're going to learn it. So
or
even
somebody that looks like you or is the same age as you and like someone that you can relate to, it's like, oh, okay, then it just clicks a little bit more.
So then now we have to describe ourselves because not everyone watches YouTube. So I'll just give my quick example. I am a 33-year-old white male who I am bald.
Hey, maybe some bald guy is over here like, hey, I'm going to listen to this other bald guy.
Yeah. Bald
wonderful.
people unite.
Yeah.
Okay, how would you describe yourself? This is important.
Well, I have long hair.
Very nice, long brown hair. If I had hair, it'd
long
be brown.
brown hair.
It was brown.
Yeah. I used to be a teacher. I used to be a CrossFitter. Now I'm a bodybuilder.
Okay.
So.
Well, I didn't know where you were going. Now I look lame. My resume, I'm just a 33-year-old dude. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We'll let you win this one.
28-year-old white female.
Exactly. Green eyes. Okay. But we do need to handle business first. That's what the episode's about. There's some business to be taken care of. And it's that we don't know shit about boats.
We don't know anything about boats. We're not boat people. We don't own boats. We've never owned a boat. Our family don't own boats.
Our family don't own boats, and they didn't own boats. We didn't grow up with boats. And we went on what do you call it? A boating vacation.
Excursion?
Yeah. Well, so we started, okay, let's just get the story straight. We went on a lake vacation with some of our friends.
Was it even a vacation? Because it's only a day. We went on...
Camping trip.
We went and camped by a lake.
Yes. And one of our friends has a boat. His family has a boat. They let him use it. And then he lets us use it in turn, which is very nice.
Very nice. Gracious.
And of course we knew it takes gas, these kind of things, right? There's certain things that go along with boating that are pretty obvious. And you would think maybe listening to this, that the next thing we're about to say might also have been obvious. To us, it was not. So it was the day that we were leaving. And we just didn't realize that there was so much like cleaning and like kind of things to prepare before you take the boat out of the water, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's pretty much right. And so basically, as we were leaving, we kind of like, all right, guys, we're leaving. And it was kind of early. There's some more people around. And it was awkward.
Very awkward.
The energy was like, oh, you're leaving. And we were like...
Uncomfy. We didn't understand why or where the awkwardness was coming from because we were ignorant.
Yeah, we were very ignorant of what was going down. We still got hugs and goodbyes, but the whole drive home...
They were cold. Yeah. They were ice cold hugs
The whole drive home was like, oh, this is something... We didn't do something right. And then we kind of thought about it. And then we started looking stuff up. And yeah, boating is expensive.
Yeah.
The gas.
We called my father to see how to conduct yourself on a boating excursion.
He didn't agree with our conduction.
No, he didn't agree with our actions. So we were kind of bad friends in that way.
So needless to say, if you ever, go on a boat ride with your friend, first of all, gas is per excursion. Okay?
We sound poor.
Gas is per excursion, and it's very expensive to fill up boats. It was like average $600.
Yeah,
which is insane.
but we didn't pay that much. So I'm just confused as to what we looked up and then what we actually paid.
Camille said it as well. It was really expensive.
I know.
But
yeah.
Also, you guys know who you are. We are sorry. We already told them we're sorry, but now it is out in the open.
Be our friends.
Yeah.
Love us.
Exactly. So yeah, if you ever go boating, don't do what we did. That's more of the story here.
Don't be us.
Don't be us. You don't have to feel anxious. You won't
be
have
us
to
in
apologize.
other ways, like with mindset and
with
fitness
what we're about to
and
talk
the gym.
about. Be us, because now we've learned from our mistakes, and we are the new us. Mm-hmm. And you can be the new us after we lay down the law right now.
Right.
Ladies first. What is number one?
Okay, so like Ryan was saying, we're gonna talk about things that we used to think. And one thing that I used to think, I guess one thing that I just didn't know before was the difference between strength and hypertrophy. And hypertrophy is for bodybuilding and for pretty nice vanity muscles. And strength, you're just strong, and that's great. Because I used to do CrossFit, and I was really, really strong then. Way stronger than I am now by a long shot. But I didn't look like it, I definitely held on to some body fat because I didn't really understand the calories in versus calories out. I was like, oh, I'm working really hard. I lift really heavy weights. And then I can eat like I'm working hard too, and everything will be fine. So yeah, and then I got into bodybuilding, and I understood that hypertrophy training is very different training, slightly a little more boring, I would say.
Potentially, yes.
Give or take, especially when you're doing it for a very specific purpose in your competition season.
Yeah.
You kind of lift the same thing over and over and over and over again.
And slowly put on 2.5 pounds, depending on the lift.
2.5 pounds?
Per.
I was muscle?
No. That's why it's boring.
Yes.
Because it's very incremental.
Yeah. So I guess now that I understand strength versus hypertrophy, I don't know, it's helpful. I feel like I know what I'm doing a bit more in the gym.
Yeah. And I think a big thing here is that people don't realize that training for strength is very much different than hypertrophy, just in terms of rep ranges. Most of the time, and this is pretty vague or general, I guess, is strength training is 5 or less reps. So it's gonna be a lot higher intensity or higher percentage of your 1 rep max. That's just a way to think about it.
I don't know my 1 rep max now.
Yeah.
I used to know it for everything.
Yeah.
Nope, don't know any of it now. I don't even want to know. It'd be kind of sad to figure it out. So.
And then obviously hypertrophy is anywhere from 6 to 30 reps.
Yeah.
And most of the time, hypertrophy, you're taking it closer to failure. You're doing longer muscle length training. You're really trying to accentuate damage.
Yeah.
Whereas strength training, you're trying to do it
performance.
Yeah, you're way more chasing the weight. And yes, you still need to adhere to certain, structural form, right? You can't just squat and not go to full depth. If you're going to be powerlifting, same with deadlift, you have to get a full lockout, but it doesn't have to look pretty. And you're not doing it slowly most of the time. You're trying to do it quick, because if you do some super heavy bench press, do a 3-second eccentric, you're going to die. It's going to be trapped on your chest. And there's going to be people have to spot you, right? You could die. How about that?
It's a little aggressive. Yeah, I will say with if you're in the gym for strength reasons, I don't know, would you say that you get hurt more often?
The likelihood,
hypertrophy training, you don't really get hurt.
No, I don't know the exact stat, but I know the incidence per, they call it lifting hours.
Yeah.
So however many lifting hours you do in the gym, the incidence of injury for bodybuilding is very, very, very low. Even for CrossFit, and whether or not that's because CrossFit athletes, this is just what the data says, okay? And this is a potential, my hypothesis of this.
I've seen you get hurt at CrossFit.
Yeah. Listen.
I've been hurt at CrossFit.
It's still low, and that's probably because self-reporting is low. People who do
Yeah.
CrossFit are not going to self-report injuries. Like I didn't go to the doctor when I hurt that's the only way they would know.
Yeah, I guess
Like
that's
in these
true.
studies, right?
That's true.
And you could say the same thing about bodybuilding, but that's also normally because those injuries are not bad enough. Whereas if someone is a power lifter and they tear their pec, you don't have a choice to not go to the doctor. So those incidences or reporting are going to be higher. But yes, it just in general, it has to make sense that if you're lifting close to your 1 rep max, doing deadlift, squat, and bench, you are going to get hurt more often just because of the intensity
You're
that it
pushing
requires.
your body to the limit.
Yeah. And then another thing, and then we'll go to the next one, is that with strength, it is very advantageous, and I know this firsthand, to have more body fat. The bigger you are, especially for like the bench, the more chest fat you have. It's like weird. It's not like you're bouncing off it or anything. It's just think about it because you have
kind of nice.
Yeah, you can. I mean, people do, right? And to me, that's not a rep.
I have enough body fat there to do it.
But there is just that little bit amount more that you don't have to go down to. Because if you're doing like a powerlifting meet, you have to touch your chest.
Yeah.
So think if you had another even half inch of fat, and that's probably 10 pounds, give or take, depending on where you store your fat, like your bench will go up. And it's just also the heavier you are, the more you're able to get strength.
Yeah.
It's just like you look at the strongmen. They're all like 300-400 pounds. And they don't
true.
look very good.
No.
They're usually pretty chunky. So
fluffy.
that's kind of the other aspect of it is if you're chasing strength a lot, like Lauren said, you're not going to look how you think. Like the people who look really strong in the gym are probably still relatively very strong, especially like the guys like Olympia bodylifters or bodybuilding or even like female Olympia athletes. They're going to be very strong compared to like the general population, but compared to a same caliber of like power lifter, they're not. Like not at all. Like those people, and some of those guys, of course, there's going to be people thinking like, well, I've seen some of those power lifters. They look insane. Yes, some you're always going to have an exception.
The top of the top.
Yeah.
I feel like that used to be really frustrating for me too. Of just like not understanding that. Like, why do I look like this? Like, I know I'm super strong.
Yeah.
And
because I guess all right. So one more thing here is that the reason you look so different is that strength for the most part is neurally derived, meaning your nervous system is creating that strength. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily matter how big your muscles are. Whereas hypertrophy, you're still creating some strength. Obviously, like you get stronger over time doing, 6 to 12 reps, of course. But by creating more mass, literally hypertrophy, that's the meaning of it, is like making your muscles actually bigger does not always mean they're getting stronger. Sometimes it's just they're getting bigger.
yeah,
So
I do my little lateral raises with 5-pound weights.
yeah.
It kills.
Yeah.
'Cause I do
And you get
20
sore and
20 reps of them for like 3 or 4 sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good for that one.
Yeah. It covers most of the basis. What about you?
Okay, my first one is keep it simple. And this is mainly for the beginning stages. And what I mean here is that I think a lot of people in the beginning, depending on who you are, because there's a lot of like hard gainer type stuff, right? Like you're not seeing muscle mass. I know that's true for men and for women, right?
I think some people might not know what a hard gainer is.
So hard gainer is just like you are having a hard time. You think you're doing stuff right, or you are doing stuff right, and you're having a hard time putting on the muscle you think you get. It's not like an entitlement, like, oh, I deserve more muscle. It's like you are genuinely putting in work. This was me. I was going to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. I had my nutrition pretty dialed, and I was sleeping like pretty good. And it was the beginner stages, and I knew about newbie gains, right? You hear about these things. Oh, you're going to put on tons of muscle and not gain fat. Mm-hmm. And what I know I did wrong back then, because like I said, I had all that stuff dialed. I would program hop or movement hop. I'd be like, one week I'd be squatting. The next week I'd be like leg pressing, which is fine in general, especially in the beginning stages.
Yeah.
But the hard part is that if you're not sticking to certain lifts, you're not doing progressive overload because you'll never know.
It takes a lot longer than you think too.
Yeah. So mistake I made was program hopping and movement hopping, just jumping around too often. And the mistake you shouldn't make is you should stick to just core movements. You don't need to do a program. And even the first couple of years, you don't need to stay to like some rigid, like buy a program from some trainer online, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you really, really want to maximize. But if you're just trying to get really fit, all you need to do is pick like leg movements, like couple leg movements for your quads, hamstrings, shoulders. Like you just hit everything: shoulders, triceps, biceps, chest. And you can even do compound movements. Like you could do bench press, which is going to be pecs, shoulders, and triceps. and slowly add, and this is a general rule, each week for upper body movements, you add 5 pounds to each lift. And for every lower body exercise, you add 10 pounds. And you just keep doing that until you literally can't. Get close to failure on lifts from 6 to 30 reps. Mm-hmm. You'll be building tons of muscle. Instead of like, oh, you get to your squat to a certain degree and then you switch completely to like leg extensions only. And like you're back at almost square one because you don't know how close it is to failure and you're just kind of wasting time.
There's a lot of movements that I do now that I was doing when I was like 18.
Oh yeah, tons. I mean, yeah, you basically stick with the same ones.
Yeah.
That's what's sweet.
And I just kind of like them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's a huge key point here is that you need to find the ones that work for you. Just because
that you can like feel and like the mind muscle connection of like, you know, when I hip thrust, and this is not me, this is a lot of women, but not me. Like when I hip thrust, like, oh, I really feel it in my glutes. For some reason, it is very difficult for me to feel in my glutes when I hip thrust. So
yeah, and so that's the learning curve. And in the beginning, you want to find the ones exactly like you feel like the muscles like contracting almost hard enough where it hurts, and you're getting a good pump. Yeah, because both of those are signs of like good mind muscle connection. Yeah. So
I think I need to up my game on my mind muscle connection with hip thrusts.
And that it also can be like learned in a way. There are certain movements
I think I am getting better, but like I did not build my booty on hip thrusts at all. But I feel like a lot of women do, and it's a great way to do it, but it just doesn't work for me.
I mean, there's literally the guy who claims to invent, I believe it, but some people don't, claims to have invented the hip thrust. He has an entire gym called the Glute Lab. And it's I'm pretty sure
San Diego. It's in San Diego.
I think now it's in like Las Vegas or whatever.
Oh, really?
But it's like 99% women. And
yeah. I tried to go there.
Do the research yourself. You can prove that hip thrust builds some booties.
They were booked out. There? Yes. They were booked out forever.
Oh, it's like premier.
Yes.
To my knowledge,
they had just opened it. Oh, okay. So it was like a couple months after. I was like, oh, cool. I want to go there.
It was a sick gym.
No, couldn't.
The Las Vegas one is sick too.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, most of those girls are like you, like bodybuilders. He doesn't just like take like, random girls.
Maybe we should open a glute lab.
The Glute Lab.
Yes.
Brett Contreras, shout out. Building booty since 1990.
There's a whole book about it too.
I know, we have it.
Yeah, we have
I bought
book.
that. Yeah,
I know.
It's a great book.
I've been reading it. Okay, number 2. Should I do my number 2?
Yep.
Okay, I used to think that you needed supplements and protein powder to grow muscle. And there was like this protein window that you absolutely had to be in, and like pre and post. And I was having 3 scoops of protein powder a day, and it was annihilating my stomach. Like I can't even describe how messed up my stomach was from that. Like just like bloated and bubbly, and just, it was awful. It was awful for such a long time. And I was like, well, I have to have this, right? Like, no, you do not need supplements at all. And like a lot of them are not regulated. And I think a lot of them are a waste of money.
Yes.
So we take creatine, and we have whey protein at the house.
4 times of need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we just ran out of it because I made you a smoothie.
Oh.
Yeah. So
last scoop.
Yep. Put that on the grocery list. Yep. Side note. But yeah, what are your thoughts on supplements?
My thoughts are the same. And it's actually funny because we made these lists separately, and we both had that one on our list.
Yes.
So, yeah. For the longest time, was the same way. I was taking whey within that 30-minute window that was potentially critical for gains. Yeah. And if you ate your protein outside of that 30-minute window, you're not gaining.
For nothing. Yeah. Why'd you even go to the gym?
First of all, that is entirely not true. It's a 4-hour window before or after that you need adequate protein. So let's get that clear. Second of all, whey protein is good in terms of its fast digestion. That's nice to have. Is that important for gains? No. Like, could you argue that there's like a very small percentage you're getting because you're drinking whey? Sure, we could have the argument. But for the money that it is, it's not worth it, in my opinion, if you hit an adequate amount of protein per day. Which is 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. So super easy. You take your body weight divided by 2.2. That'll give you kilograms. And then I always do that times 1.6. That's going to give you that higher threshold of how much protein you need per day. If you're a vegan or vegetarian, definitely stay on that 1.6. But if you eat meat, you could go down to that 1.2, which is less than you think. You're hearing about this number and you're like, oh, that sounds like potentially a lot. It's less protein. Like for me, I think it's about 130 to 140 grams per day, which is very doable. And then
I ate 180 today.
Yeah. Like Lauren literally eats more than me. And it's not a bad thing to eat more, but I guess the point is you don't need whey protein to like fill that,
No.
especially if you're already getting more than
I don't know
enough.
why I was doing that too, because I was getting so like
At that
very
point,
adequate amount of protein.
I remember I asked Lauren and she was like, oh, I'm getting like 230. I'm like, jeez.
It was so
That's like what,
bad. And I thought that
190
you
a
had
year.
to do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
my muscles will go away and I will wither away in the wind if I don't get all this protein via whey.
Yeah,
Like, it's just not worth it. And I feel like, yeah, if your body can handle it, but I know so many girls that have like issues because of like different protein bars and protein cookies and protein shakes and like it will just annihilate your stomach and it's not worth it. So
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's processed and
highly processed.
if you don't check the ingredients, the majority of them are going to have artificial sweeteners and these kind of things. So, and another thing, it's just the supplement industry is kind of scummy in this way because I fell for this.
And marketing too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, is the marketing example right here. I would drink whey right after my workout because it's fast digesting. It's going straight to the muscles that are swollen. Then at night, literally like for probably 6 months to a year, there's people out there know it's called casein protein. So it's the opposite of whey. So whey is fast digesting, casein is slow. So there's like this whole like trend of drinking casein literally before you go to bed because it's slowly digesting in your body overnight. So you never hit that fasted state and your muscles never get eaten by your body. Yeah, that was literally like the narrative.
It's like fear mongering via whey protein.
So I did that for a very long time. And this actually was a recent revelation. I learned this like last 6 months. It was like, oh, as long as I get enough protein, I don't need to actually weigh. So
we've saved money.
We save money. And so that's the way. Then my thoughts on creatine, 100%. If you're not taking it, take it.
Oh, yeah. Take
There's no
creatine.
reason not to. Most research supplement on the market, as safe as it gets. All the side effects you might have heard of are irrelevant at this point. That's been studied so much. Also, yeah, men, women, doesn't matter. Older, younger, they've done a lot more research now of like brain health, like post-concussion or even osteoporosis. So for like older ladies, these kind of things. Loading dose is not necessary at all. Just take 5 grams per day until
Doesn't
infinity.
matter what time.
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
Just take it. That's creatine. Also, one more thing on that. There's, because of what Lauren talked about, a lot of adulteration in the supplement industry because it's not regulated by the FDA.
Yep.
If you want to be for sure, and it's something you're taking every day, like we do, creatine, right? Take Creapure. It's just the actual ingredient on the label will be called Creapure. It is like the most tested and third-party tested, all the things. It is 100% creatine. There's nothing else that's going to be in there. It's not more expensive. It might be a little bit more expensive than
But it's worth it.
your run-of-the-mill. 100% worth it. If you're taking it every day for years, and we can solve a couple more very quickly. BCAAs, ass trash. Don't take them. It's literally colorful. It's like food coloring, basically, that you're drinking. Yes, are there isovaline, valine, and leucine are important? Yes, 100%. If you get adequate protein, are you getting adequate amounts of those? Yes, 100%. So don't spend your money because that stuff's kind of expensive.
And I think like a multivitamin is fine.
Sure.
Like we do greens in the morning, but a multivitamin would be literally the same thing.
Yeah.
I just like the greens in the morning, greens powder, because it forces me to drink a bunch of water in the morning.
And you can take your, I guess these are kind of like outside of, sports supplements you would think. But yeah, I would suggest fish oil and vitamin D too. If we're just on the supplements kind of tangent, those are just important because even me, who I have a very regular, diet and go out in the sun quite a bit, probably more. Well, that's why I have this huge freaking, if you could see the scar on my neck, I got a biopsy. But anyway, so I'm out in the sun plenty. I went to my doctor, long story short, had my physical, had my blood work done. I was low in fish oil and I was low in vitamin D3. So it just shows you that
have you gone back yet?
Yeah, so I went back in in my fish oil, which I was taking. I'm going to shout them out. We're not sponsored by any means, but I was taking Thorne supplements because fish oil is one of those things, unless you're getting very high-end fish oil, it's not giving you fish oil. Because I went in and I was taking some fish oil, but it was like, King Soopers brand. But also, not to throw them under the bus, but just to show that we are, we're out here spitting facts. I took the AG1, vitamin D3, K2, whatever, supplement. I was taking that. You were here with me. I was taking that pretty religiously every day. I was like 3 or 4 drops. My vitamin D levels did not change. Just saying. That's like a little free thing they throw in there, but it is just to prove that you do need to find high-end supplements if you actually want to create changes, because it's not regulated and they don't verify that it's 2,000 IUs of vitamin D3.
Yeah,
which is sad.
Because it's expensive doesn't mean that it's good.
No, you do want to. Yeah, so I've had good luck with Thorne, THORNE. That's just me.
And the greens powder that we take is Live It Up Greens.
Live It Up Greens. We've had good luck with that.
We also have AG1 at the house, but it's not because we buy it.
My cousin Matt gives it to me.
Way too expensive.
Shout out Matt.
Yes, it's because it's given to us.
Yeah. And then one last supplement, and then we will go to the next one, is pre-workout. Basically, what I want to say about this is,
I used to take so much pre-workout.
I mean, so did I. I feel like everyone has their phase.
Everyone goes through a phase of pre-workout.
Yeah. Because it does work. Like, for the majority of like what you want it to work for, it works. Is that because of the caffeine? Recent studies have shown no, that's not the case.
Because the beta-alanine, you get the tingles, and you're like, I can lift strong things.
Yes, beta-alanine has been slightly proven. It's actually more so for cardio effects. So like for like a CrossFit workout, those kind of vibes.
Yeah.
It's going to make you perform better. But what I think most of the time why pre-workout works is because there's probably stimulants in most of it. Unfortunately.
The list that's on some pre-workouts is insane.
I mean, if you take a stimulant, let's say cocaine, for example, you're going to probably lift harder. Is it going to potentially your heart going to blow out your chest? Yeah, maybe. So don't do that.
You're just in the gym just.
Yeah, but.
All right, let's go. Get this lift on. Well, some people snort salt.
Well, yeah, some
I've
people
seen that
take
for
like
power
Ritalin.
lifters.
I'm smelling salt. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you should do that next time, and then I'll like slap you in the face, and then you'll PR.
I mean, you probably would. Yeah. So I think my take on pre-workout is just don't, because also most of the time when people take it, it's after work. It's like 5
past
p.m.
5.
Yeah. And you are taking 400 milligrams of caffeine.
And then you're messing up your sleep, and it is a snowball effect.
Yeah. So like, let's just do the math here. Let's say you take pre-workout 5 p.m. because you think you need it to go to the gym to work out harder. Let's say you do 10 pounds more on your leg press and you get 2 more reps, but then you sleep 40 minutes less, or your sleep cycles in general are off. Who cares that you did more weight or more reps? You'd rather do less reps, less weight, and sleep, because sleep is
quality
the most important.
Sleep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which
that's where you build muscle. That's where you repair your muscles. So you're taking that away for yourself because you want to feel tingly in the gym.
Yeah. And this is just the beautiful, Lauren and I, this was obviously, I don't know how this just worked out, but it was just a full circle. What did we just end talking about? Sleep. What is my next one I want to talk about? Literally verbatim. Sleep and nutrition are critical, because in the beginning, also like so this was before when I was saying, because now you could be like, oh, you said your diet and your sleep are dialed. This was before that. And also there's just periods like when I was at CSU in Fort Collins, right? Like I was still lifting and I was still eating decently, but my sleep was way messed up. I was in college. I was partying, these kind of things. And it's just so crazy. The second that I actually started sleeping regularly, 7 hours, 7.5 hours. And regularly, I mean like going to the bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. Because that's what you really get
helpful.
The benefit of sleep. I literally put on, I have a little I went to a gym and the personal trainer did measurements of all of my stuff. And within 8 months of because I was like, all right, I'm dedicating myself. I want to know where I'm starting. I think within 8 months to a year, I put 2 inches on my arms, which is
wow.
I know,
Ryan.
I know. So, but yeah, that is a big effect. 2 inches on your arms,
that's
right?
massive.
And I honestly, yes, did I train a little bit smarter then? Sure. But I really think back, it was nutrition. I started dialing that a little bit more, but also it's just my sleep. I was actually
just
sleeping.
consistency in the gym, consistency with your nutrition, consistency.
Yeah. Because
sleeping.
it was easy to Monday through Wednesday in college, I wasn't partying, right? And so those were good.
Monday through Wednesday, those 3 days.
So those were good. And then those other 4 days, And I think that's what some people still do. And it's probably not Wednesday because you have a real job nowadays, probably for most people, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's even Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, and you only party on Saturday, even that one day, especially as you get older. And I know this now. Like if I drink one night, and not even to get drunk, like couple drinks.
If I even go to bed late one night, I'm like, oh my God,
it's like a
I'll
hangover
recover in
for
3 days.
Yes,
It's like if we go to bed at 1 a.m., the next day is like just not the same. It's just not the same.
And I think this is what changed my mind. And maybe it's just like how we talked about in the intro of like saying it a different way. Because it's easy. Everyone sits here like, oh, you need to sleep. Oh, you need to be nutritionally healthy. Not only is it going to help you in the gym, right? It's going to help you with everything. Like if I don't sleep good enough, which was 2 days ago, even just Lauren, who I adore here, if she says certain things, I'm like a little more like, I don't know, like, it's like easier to be irritable towards people you love. It's easier to be irritable at your job. Your performance at your job is going to suck. Your performance as a parent could suck. Like it's a cascading effect. And not only that is it has such big ramifications long-term, like Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things they've been shown time and time again. Obesity is sleep. Like sleep is going to be the easiest thing to be consistent at to solve all those things.
Yeah.
That's not actually what I wanted to say. And because you might not care about that. You're listening to this for the gains. So let me tell you this. If you're in the gym 2 hours a week or 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day, that is 2 hours where you think you're like, oh, this is where I'm building the muscle.
Yeah.
No, it is the other 23 hours of the day. That's where you're building muscle. The 2 hours that you're in the gym is when you're breaking it down. The 23 hours around the clock that you're sleeping, that you're eating, that you're recovering is where the muscle is actually built. So if you're not dedicating, because you could think like I'm dedicating so much energy, so much time to my program and to when I'm in the gym, but you need to actually flip-flop that mentality. And if you think that's you should put all that energy into the outside of the gym and just kind of go a little more chill inside the gym for a bit and then come back and have them be equal. And you'll see some serious gains. Like if you are the person that just isn't doing anything outside the gym that's right, Yeah. You need to get that stuff fixed. Then go back to the gym, get that fixed, and then boom, hit them both.
Just amazing.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great.
Okay. Your turn. Hit me with number 3.
Okay, my last one is I used to think that you had to bulk and like gain a bunch of body fat to gain muscle. And that's just not the case. You do not need to get as like fluffy as you think. You don't need to put on as much body fat as you think. I think a lot of people, especially in the bodybuilding industry, use that as a crutch just to eat whatever they want. And I definitely understand, like after a show, it is extremely hard to contain yourself because your body has not had like the fatty, sugary, all the good sweet stuff.
Like nothing, not even salt for some people. Like,
Yeah, I didn't have salt for like a couple days. Yeah. And I went ham. I did not mean to eat a whole bun
partly
cake.
Partly my fault.
Please don't do that again.
It was like a nice
because
gesture.
I think, I was like listening to this the other day of like just experience when you restrict yourself that much and then your body gets a taste of like the sweet fatty stuff that you haven't had in a long time. Like I'm not kidding you. You are like animalistic of like eating the food. Like you want it so bad, which is also bad because it leads to binging and all these other things.
Yes.
But if you're bodybuilding, like try to keep it within like 5% of your stage weight or like 5% body fat gained. There we go. Yeah. Or within like for like tiny petite women like me, it's like, 5, 10, 15 pounds. But if you think that you have to gain like 20, 25 pounds to put on muscle, that's just not the case. Because when you have to diet off all that fat, then you're just going to take that muscle with you.
Yeah.
All the hard,
that's aggressive dieting.
Yes. All the hard work that you did is just going to get undone if you have to diet that hard.
Yeah. And I think my mind goes a couple places here. First, especially as women and girl, as a woman and a man, it's late. All right. When we're recording this, our brains are not functioning quite as tuned up as they are in the morning.
Yeah. We need to start recording in the morning.
It might be obvious which ones we record at night, which ones we record in the morning.
Yeah.
Let us know if you can tell. And when I don't tell you, obviously. Okay, so but where my mind goes here is that for a woman or a man, putting on that amount of muscle or putting on that amount of fat is not, you don't want to do that. No one wants to do that because you look completely different.
Yeah, you look different. And I
Like,
always want to look like I look
you want,
fit.
yeah, you want people
like,
to be like,
oh, Lauren lifts.
Yes.
I can tell.
Yeah.
So.
Like the old meme, but do you even lift, bro? Like, I never want that.
Yeah.
And my mind also goes to another place, which is more research based, is they've found recently, because they did a study with 2 groups where basically one of them did kind of what you're talking about, dirty bulking. These are, I'm pretty sure these are predominantly males, but dirty bulking. And then they did like a very slow, clean, you could call it a bulk because they were trying to add weight.
Yeah.
And what they found was that they added, because people think with this, if you bulk and you add all this weight, you're adding more muscle than if you were to slowly add like 0.25 to 5.5 pounds a week, which sounds boring and sounds lame. But in this study, they found that is actually more efficacious to slow bulk for many reasons. But one is you're actually going to gain potentially more muscle because you don't have to, what Lauren's talking about, do that reverse dieting of like, now I have to take all this fat off.
And any yo-yo dieting is just bad.
It's just bad for you.
It's so bad for your body and bad for your skin.
Yes.
Like if you're stretching your skin out and then it comes back and then stretching it out, then it comes back. Like there's going to be a day where it's not coming back the same anymore.
Yeah. And I also think, I like to think our podcast is more also like lifestyle oriented in terms of like, yes, dirty bulking could get you what you want and you could, right? Because there's going to be people potentially listening like, oh, I've done it and I looked amazing when I cut all the weight. Okay, cool. But how much potential damage do to your body when you're eating Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, or even worse, Taco John's, because that place is even worse than Taco Bell, right? And you're eating like the third party, like, all those random like Del Taco. Let's say you just do all the Taco Bell spinoffs and you're eating all that and your Cosmos Pizza and
I think you're people's mindset. When people do that, I really do feel like it's just a crutch of like, oh, I'm doing this to put on muscle.
Yeah.
I'm in my improvement season.
Or like, they want to
It is winter time.
I can eat McDonald's and still be fit. Like, yeah, cool. But you're literally also damaging your body at the same time.
Yeah.
And like in 10 years from now, you don't know the effects that's having on your liver and on, right? That's kind of my thinking too, is like, yes, you can do it and you could attain the same goals, but it's also more damaging long-term. And like, I'm always doing all these things. Yes, for sure. Like vanity and all those are very important to me.
But
I
longevity.
Want to look, I also want to be functional and I don't want to get so fat that, people are asking if I even live or like, yo, dude.
I swear I do. Take my word for it. Okay.
Ryan, yeah. My buddy's like, dude, Ryan slipped up, bro. Have you seen him? I'm like, nah, I don't want that. I want him to be like, dude, what if like, damn, that's what I want. You don't see your buddies for like a couple years and they're like, dude, you look good. And that's like, guys don't really say that too often to each other.
No, they don't. No. You're right.
So when you hear that, you're like, damn, I do look good. And it's because you don't. Just being honest, but like, there's a reason.
Ryan, how are we going to get these people to fall in love with us?
Well, these people, they don't have to know who. This is just a facetious friend.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes.
No one's specific. But yeah, I think that's where my mind goes with all that is, you don't need to bulk. And if you do, you should do it slow because that's better.
Agreed. Yep. All right. What's your last one?
Ooh, my last one.
Let's hear it.
Number 3. It's hard to gain, but easy to maintain, which that's got a nice little rhyme to it.
I like that.
And this is the point of this. So basically,
kind of goes with what we were just talking about.
Yeah. What I want to tell all the people that are hopefully younger than me or right around my same age, get on it now. And I used to drive past this gym in Boise. I lived in Boise, Idaho for a bit, and it's Idaho. It's on the west side of the U.S., not Iowa. Because I was confused when I told people I lived in Idaho. They're like, oh, like they'd be like, oh, you're like over there. I'm like, no, that's Iowa. It was like a common.
Wow,
yeah.
I never got that because I also lived in Boise, Idaho.
You never got that?
Never had that mistake.
I literally had a person on the plane. They're like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, well, I live in Idaho right now. They're like, oh, by over where? I don't know the other states over there. But anyway, Idaho.
Geographically challenged people.
It's by Montana, okay? Underneath Canada. So when I lived there, there was this gym. And on the wall, painted in huge white letters, I drove past it every day home. It says, if not now, comma, when, And I think that is a very great question, because I think too many times people are like, oh, I have this going on. Oh, I have this going on. Or I'm going to get it on my health after the holidays. That's my most common thing I hear. And I always think about, especially if you look you could do it right now. You could look at your phone. You could look at the calendar. There's those little dots all over if you have an iPhone showing how many freaking holidays there are. Like if you could go from Thanksgiving all the way back to Thanksgiving, there's holidays in between. So when people say those kind of things like, oh, I'll start at the beginning of next year. Like, why? What do you like? I just don't understand why you're waiting. And the point of this is the longer you wait, it's going to be harder to gain muscle, because for many reasons, but just because as especially men get older, you're going to have lower testosterone. That's just generally how it works. But by building muscle when you're younger, you can actually keep your testosterone longer. That's obvious, right? That should be obvious. And not only is it your testosterone's lower, so it's harder to build muscle, most of the time you have more responsibilities. Whether or not you even get married or have kids, you have a full-time job. And when you're in college, your job is to be like a chilled student, right? Like for the most part, college is not that crazy. And you have a lot more time that you should dedicate, not to partying, but to go into the gym. I didn't do that, but I wish I would have.
Like the younger that you can get your kids into sports, the better. Like
just everything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything, whether it's like dance, gymnastics, basketball, baseball. It helps so much. Like my mom used to send me to bike camp all the time and YMCA camp and tennis camp. And at the time I absolutely hated it. But now as an adult, I've gone biking with people that cannot really ride a bike. Yeah. And I remember it was like 2015. We were in Europe. It was a bunch of us girls together and we were all riding bikes. And there was some that like, it was so difficult. It made the trip very hard. And I was like, let's go bike around and see the city. And I remember calling my mom, like, thank you so much for sending me to bike camp.
It's kind of like I don't even have to say anymore, but in Ted Lasso, which we will bring up pretty much every episode, when Roy can't ride a bike, that's like
that is hilarious. I forgot about that scene.
Potential favorite scene.
Yes.
With Jamie and Roy. Great times. But yeah, so and I guess on all that, you need to build. This is why you should build the muscle as early as you can. And this is man or woman. I just brought up like males because of the testosterone thing. That is like a very real example of how it's going to be harder to gain muscle. But basically, if you gain muscle in the beginning, not only is it going to be easier, not only do you have more time, you also will build such a solid foundation and your metabolism will be higher because you have more muscle. So then when you get older and you're in like your 30s and your metabolism, as they always say, like slows down, as everyone says, oh, just wait till you're 30. I'm like, I'm 30. Oh, wait till you're 40. I'll be like, I'm 40. But anyway, the more muscle you have, the more metabolism you have, which means you can eat more and still burn more money. I almost said more money. Burn more calories. And then here's the beautiful part, and I just started learning about this. Basically what they found is to maintain muscle mass. So for me, right, let's say I do 10 sets of just like, we'll use back, for example. I do 10 sets per week of back exercises. I can do a quarter of that per week for probably I don't remember the exact time frame they use in these studies, but there's not going to ever be a time in my life where I do it for like more than like 6 weeks. But I could, even right now, actually, I've been, because of my arm, very much doing very low volume on certain things. And honestly, I feel like I got even a little bigger. Just generally, I might just be getting leaner, whatever, losing weight. But the point is if you gain a certain amount of muscle, to maintain it is so easy. So when life gets busy, which it will, and you already have your foundation of your muscle mass, you can go to very minimal volume per week. You can take care of your kids. You can be a great father, great husband, and still look like you lift, you know?
I also feel like it goes, I think that's a great example for men and women. But a lot of the time, us ladies, we want to stay slender. We want to stay thin, all that stuff. And kind of going back to what I was saying before, if you get down to the body weight that you like and the body weight that you want and like the body fat percentage that you think that looks best on you, maintaining that is a lot easier than like cutting, bulking. So if you just maintain, like, I'm not saying like stage lean, but if you just maintain that, it's so much better for you and so much easier for you.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I stayed a little bit lower from my stage weight because now I'm trying to get it off. I'm like, this is hard. It's hard whether I think you're 600 pounds or whether you're like 120 pounds like me. Losing weight is hard.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that, whether it's me or somebody that's like morbidly obese, I genuinely think it's hard for both of us.
Yes.
So,
and that really comes down to very simple physiology, which is homeostasis, meaning your body creates set points. And this is for everything, but for weight is a good example. The longer you stay at something, right? Like for me, I'm usually hovering around 180 for like the past 3 or 4 years. It is very hard for me to go up because of kind of what I just talked about. I've also had a high metabolism my whole life, kind of lucky in that, but also having higher muscle mass, have that. But it's also very hard for me to go much lower. Like I'd have to really try to like not eat. And
you're about to pretty soon because elk season.
Yes. But it is exactly what Lauren said. Even in the longer you stay at a set point, your body will literally
adjust.
I don't know if it literally is the right way for like very science-minded people, but like it will fight against you. If you're trying to drop a ton of fat and you've been at a set point of 120 pounds for years, it's like it basically thinks it's starving and it's going to store fat more readily because that is like biology. When we used to be hunters and gatherers, we would not eat 3 to 6 meals a day. You might eat one. So then when it goes into starvation mode, hormones and these kind of things release. And it's like, we need to hold on to fat because you can then take from your fat stores and burn it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it takes just a lot longer than I think people understand for a healthy rate of weight loss.
Perfectly said, because you can crash diet and like completely, I lost 10 pounds in a week. Cool deal.
I used to watch my roommate do that.
Yeah.
And just not eat really. Yeah. Have a smoothie. Be like, yep, those are the calories for the day. I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like you start feeling dumb when you're at that low of calories.
Your brain needs glucose.
Yeah. Your brain needs carbs.
Yeah, glucose specific. That's why, like we can get into it, but we don't have to get into it. But like the ketosis thing and all that.
Yeah.
Your brain is one of the only organs that actually needs glucose, and it's probably the most important organ. So,
and when you're dieting, like say, you're a middle-aged woman, you're like, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, that's 20 weeks.
Potentially more.
That is, probably more.
For you, it might be because you're like going to gym 6 times a week doing cardio. Think about someone's like, and we'll just not to like, but like think about a mom that has 3 kids and a job. Like they don't have that kind of time.
I know. Yeah. They don't have like the flexibility.
40 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
probably.
almost a freaking year.
Yeah. And that is like,
that's no slip ups.
Yeah. That's not slipping up.
That's not going to vacation.
Like strategically going down and not messing up week by week by week by week.
Not that we want people to mess up, but I do got to bring this up. What was that place in Idaho? Shout out Idaho, Boise. The cookie place.
Chip.
Holy. I'm telling you, you guys might be like, we'll crumble. Blah, blah, blah.
That's why I gained my stage weight back.
I don't eat cookies. Like, we both don't.
I've never seen Ryan enjoy a cookie more than Chip.
It was literally the best cookie in my entire life.
It was.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So, not to... if you are that mom of 3 and you are on this weight loss
journey, back to the mothers.
Don't go to Chip.
Don't go to Chip, but do. But don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Longevity.
Yeah. Just try to, live long. Okay.
Yes, because you want to do this as a lifestyle and then reap the benefits of that.
Yeah. And the benefits are many because when you do go on said lake vacation or lake hunt camping trip, you look cool.
Yeah.
People notice.
You want to be around. You want to have a long life to be around for your kids, to be around for your grandkids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And mother, if you're listening. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I'm going to go with this one because I got a lot of crap for this other thing I said. So I'm going to say something else.
Okay.
Yeah, so just like I said, I think it was episode 1, drop it like it's hot. I said I want to die with a 6-pack, right? Open casket, these kind of things. I got a lot of flack from that. Not like actual flack, but like my cousin really thought it was weird that I said that. But I think it's fine.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, he's like, Ryan, I'm not coming to your funeral. If you have a freaking open casket, that's weird. And I'm like,
I will, baby. I'll oil up those abs for you.
I want to paint it on too, just like they did in the Spartan movie.
Yeah.
I know about that. Anyway. What I want as being a future dad.
Okay.
I want to be that dad where it's like I'm mowing the lawn, potentially shirtless, but probably not because of my skin cancer risk.
Wait.
But in my mind, I am shirtless, and my kids are out there playing, and they just know how fit I am. Like, you know,
honey, you want a smoothie?
Because think about it, when you're starting that lawnmower, that's a lot of lat. My lat could be looking good. It's a little hot out, so I'm sweating.
Yeah.
And then I have my classic dad shoes,
Like
the white ones, but they're gonna be green because I mow the lawn all the time.
in your white New Balances.
My New Balances, and I'll be that dad. And you know, the other people in the neighborhood will probably talk crap, like, well, why? But it's like they're just potentially jealous. Because a lot of people can't hold. Sounds mean, but it's just true. There's a lot of people they stop caring when fatherhood and these kind of things happen. And I will give credit to like our parents' generation. They did not have the information we did.
No, not at all.
So like you can't really like harp on them too much, but we can harp on ourselves. And 100% I'm going to harp on the people our age who are parents, and we see you. I see you. I travel. It's kind of sad because their kids are a reflection of them, and they are becoming a shadow of them. And you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to be too blunt.
Be a leader for your kiddos.
Yeah, like show them that, you know, you don't have to succumb to like when you go to frickin' Dutch Bros and they're like, oh, do you want a pumpkin spice annihilator? It's fall, but it's literally
That's
frickin'
1,200 calories.
August. It's not even fall yet. Get that. Yeah. No. Yeah, every time I go there, I'm like, yeah, can I get a large black ice Americano? And there it's like bewilderment. They're like, what? Black?
What?
Do you want some pumpkin in there?
Headlights?
I'm like, freaking no, I don't want pumpkin in there. I want my coffee to be black.
They sneak it in anyways, baby.
They probably do. It's why it tastes so good. But they give my dog a bandana, so I'll go back.
Yeah. Opie does
cute.
look cute.
Yeah.
He does. Okay.
All right.
On that note. Over and out.
That's how we're just going to keep ending these?
No, we can't. What
I
should
want to
be our
try this
outro?
one.
Okay.
I want to try this one, and
Yep.
you're going to follow me, okay?
All right.
Zip it up.
And zip it out.